Throughout the short time the internet has lived and evolved, there have been many creepy and disturbing entities surfacing the web, each with their own oddly charismatic and dark ambience surrounding them. Today, we are covering one of Trevor Henderson's creepiest creatures, the Peeping Tom. Everyone hates being watched during moments of intimacy, whether it be using the restroom or changing in your room. Most of you are fortunate enough to enjoy the privacy your cozy home provides. But I'm sure a few of you have experienced the horrible feeling of having your sanctuary defiled by an unwanted party. Nothing is scarier than realizing that the eerie shadow on your window wasn't casted by the rigid form of branches and leaves being caressed by the radiance of moonlight. Instead, realizing that there is in fact an unknown staring at you with an unyielding and unrelenting gaze from outside, especially if your room is located on the 3rd floor. That is what it would feel like to be the object of observation for the Peeping Tom, whose appearance is that of a giraffe with its extended neck. Instead of having set neck to reach leaves and fruit on trees, the Peeping Tom uses his in order to stalk and observe humans of interest. The Peeping Tom does not possess eyes in those sockets, nor does he possess any teeth or a tongue in that crooked mouth of his. Yet, he still sees the person who took the picture, and he still smiles with his sockets and smirks in self-satisfaction. Why are you smiling, Tom? Are you perhaps delighted at being caught peeping? Or are you overjoyed at the fact that you know there won't be anything they can do to get rid of your homing gaze? The Peeping Tom also looks to be burned, as his skin looks more like scar tissue. This could also explain the lack of eyes and hair, which were lost during the fire. In the description, we can find some lore behind this entity. I'm glad he's gone. He was a disgusting old Peeping Tom, and I hope what's left of his shitty house burns down. Lots of negative emotions surrounding this quote, almost as if it was a personal matter and not written by some journalist. Also, by the words, "he's gone," plus the anger behind the text, we can assume the Peeping Tom died. The words "old" and "what's left of his shitty house" helps us reach the conclusion that he is in fact not alive anymore. But they also present two separate possibilities as to how he died. One, of old age, or two, some sort of disaster. The fact that he not only looks to have been burned, but that the person stated that they hope the rest of his shitty house burns down, derives us to the conclusion that the Peeping Tom died to a fire. We know he came back to the land of the living to continue his craft, but the question currently pestering me is, was his death an accident? We know that he died to a fire, and that he was old, but was he hated before or after his death? Some of his house survived the fire, which could have contained evidence to his particular night activities. This could be how they found out he was on the weird side of the spectrum. Another possibility could be taken from the emotions seeping out of the previous quote. The way it was written makes me believe that the person must have had a not so merry encounter with our creepy entity when he had yet kicked the bucket. Our victim was also quite descriptive when it came to Tom's home, almost as if they had seen it before. All the more reason why I believe he was already an outcast from within that neighborhood. This is the conclusion I'll be leading towards, simply due to how likely it is. So he was known to be a Peeping Tom even before his death. What makes you believe his death wasn't an accident, dear? Well, my lovely viewer, the reason to that is that stalkers, creepers, and overall lurkers are heavily ostracized and hated by the community. There is no way an old man accidentally burned down his house, when everyone in that town is known to have a motive for his death. Was he killed then? Probably. But will he take revenge on the person who committed arson? Most likely. Just because the Peeping Tom has been seen expressing emotions. Simply put, there is no way he wouldn't receive a form of fulfillment from accepting some sort of vengeance. Even if he has no way of dealing physical damage, I'm sure he can do plenty more, just by constantly staring at them from a distance. Well, what should you do if you were to encounter the Peeping Tom? First, avoid eye contact, since he is clearly in it for the self-satisfaction of seeing you be mortified by his presence and gaze. Second, act like you haven't seen him. This should hopefully irritate the ghost, making him seek someone else who could provide a quick fix to his urge of being caught staring. If he hasn't still stopped staring at you, then stare back. No matter what he shows you, or how close he gets to your window, don't show any emotions. Otherwise, he'll find you amusing. If so, you better hope he bores easily. I love working on creepy things, especially when they have such an overwhelming personality that he could obtain clues as to its origins just by analyzing the image. That is why I will always love this kind of art. Do you agree with my analysis? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to add Trevor and myself on social media. Today's phrase was chosen by Louis O'Brien. Thanks for participating, Louis. Here it comes. I watch you sleep, so don't be afraid.